welcome to the Agenda Setters. I'm here today with Holly Kramer and we're at Macquarie University's Women, Management and Work Conference. Thanks for joining us today, Holly.
Pleasure.
So you've just appeared on the panel regarding future trends in the constantly changing workforce just inside there. So, I mean, first up, I wanted to ask, what do you feel are the most pressing priorities for the future of work? What absolutely has to change? What do we not have a choice about there?
Look, I think we were talking about trends that are happening around us, and those will obviously dictate what needs to change. Some of the biggest trends happening are just global economic uncertainty. It's a really tough environment for business. It's tough to plan ahead, and yet at the same time it's becoming an increasingly global world and environment. So I think the pressing priorities for businesses are to figure out how to become more nimble and change quickly, be able to be more flexible in their planning. And I think from an employee perspective, they need to be prepared to operate in that environment because it's less certain than it ever has been, and the imperative more than ever is around people taking risks, being proactive, being innovative, and I think that's what's going to take in today's world to continue to succeed.
Okay, I mean, one of the things that you mentioned in there was the internet and just how much it is disrupting businesses, even just in the last couple of years, how it's affecting retail, how it's affecting media. I'm wondering, how do you see this actually affecting how women might participate in the workforce in the future? Do you think this can be actually of benefit to women in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's completely transformational because it's so disruptive. I mean, more so in certain industries. Obviously, I was mentioning media, retail. Certain industries are being completely turned on their head. But I think what it's doing is it's giving power to people. It's giving power to small businesses, to consumers. And I think women tend to be more adaptive. Women tend to, often be in positions where they can take more risks, be more innovative, adapt to changing work environments, and so and sometimes it's because it's just our nature, and sometimes it's dictated by the fact that women have no other choice but to adapt and so forth. So I think the environment is very good. It's very auspicious for women if they're willing to go out there and grab it.
Okay. And obviously, I mean, you've had an extraordinary career, and it seems like you've gone out there and grabbed plenty of these opportunities yourself. One thing that's very obvious is that you've moved through quite a few different industries as well. Do you think that there's more opportunity for women if they are a little bit more flexible and do pursue a career that way by moving across industries?
Look, it's a really interesting question because I do often wonder. I mean, I've taken a view in life that I love marketing and product and consumers, and so that my career can be functional. And so by being passionate and really good at understanding consumers and trends and translating that into business, that can be the trajectory of my career. And I think, to a certain extent, hopefully I've begun to prove that out. But it's not always easy because there's still a lot of traditional employers who say, well, look, I'm in pharmaceuticals. If you haven't been in pharmaceuticals for 30 years, you can't operate in this industry. And that's where I think the paradigm is shifting. And I'm finding people are saying to me, wow, you'll be really attractive for our board because you've got all that consumer and that market understanding, not because you've been in this industry or that industry. So I think the world is becoming more receptive to people who have good core skills as opposed to industry expertise, because in a way industries are changing, and if you've been there 20 years, you're less likely to think out of the square and take it in a new direction.
Yeah. Okay. And some of those, I mean, the core skills that I've seen your core skills described as, it was for marketing, communications, and strategy development as well. Do you think these sorts of skills are being recognised enough when it comes to appointing people to senior positions and particularly to boards as well? Are we seeing a bit of a shift? Is it changing now?
It's starting to shift. The third I'd add to that would be leadership as a skill, and I think that's starting to be recognised. Or another one, particularly with boards, is running a P&L. So they're sort of functional or generic business skills. I think because there's now such a broad recognition that there needs to be more diversity, I think that's how businesses are convincing themselves that there's a role for women because they can sort of say, oh look, you know, she's got this unique skill set, and I think they are starting to value, whether it's the traditional skills that women have had coming from marketing backgrounds, HR backgrounds, realizing that people and understanding consumers are very core to their business. And I think that is starting to happen, maybe reluctantly, but it's starting to happen, and that's providing opportunities.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, just to finish up, could I ask you, I mean, obviously you've encountered, like all women, challenges throughout your career. Is there one that you'd pinpoint as being the most difficult, and could you tell us a little bit how you actually overcame it as well?
Yeah, it's not a female-specific challenge, it's a business-specific challenge, but I've found that the toughest challenge I've had in my career is adapting to each new level of management or leadership. You know, when you're in a very junior job, you just need to do your job as best you can. Then you're managing people, and all of a sudden you've got a whole new set of skills that you have to acquire, and then you're managing large groups of people, and it's yet again a different set of skills. And then you're at a very senior level, and it's about networking and, you know, having a broader view of the world, not just the business, as well as leadership. So it's each of those transitions. I think a lot of people struggle in recognizing that they don't need to do their job the way they used to. They need to do it at a different level. And look, I mean, I've sort of learned the hard way, but I've also had good mentors, and I'm never afraid to ask for advice and ask for help. And I think that little bit of humility along the way really helps in overcoming challenges.
Okay. And finally, I'm just going to ask this because I can see it in your notes there, is the Anne-Marie Slaughter article that everybody's been talking about,
right.
that women can't have it all. That was published in the Atlantic a few weeks ago. What did you take away from that article?
Oh, look, for me, I actually took away the fact that she was starting to offer some real practical type solutions and ask some real practical questions to say, you know, is the world really set up for a future where men and women are probably both going to be working, and they need to find a way to raise families effectively and do their jobs effectively? And I think by her saying we haven't kind of reached that state yet, we really have to keep challenging the infrastructure around us. To me, that's what I took out. I thought, wow, that's really good practical thinking on this issue, because you know, the fallacy of work-life balance, anyone will tell you we all have our own balance, but it's never perfect. And so I think she was being really productive in thinking what are norms that we can challenge that might make it different in the future.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you for joining us today, Holly.
Thanks, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.